And family of love and the scriptures, welcome to this evening's edition. We are glad to be here. We have looked forward to getting to come and to do our show tonight. Very interesting, very timely to where we are in society today. Just before though we get to that, I'm adjusting this camera. We started school today. Teachers did in our district, and it's professional development for the next 6 days. Well, next 5 days, but six totally including today. And so I'm in my classroom, and over the summer, what they do is there's the custodial crew comes in and they redo floors and they do whatever repairs are necessary and do whatever to the room. And so they have to shift everything, move stuff uh, out of the way. And so all of that stuff you see stacked up behind me is where the custodial crew has unloaded and then reloaded or uploaded or whatever all of my supplies and different things back there. So that's what you see back there. You see a broom and dustpan, and you see a canister of sanitizing fluid, and you see a hot plate, and you see books and all of that stuff. That stuff goes in the room somewhere. And so that's what the background is behind me. I actually, though, wanted to sit the laptop on my desk and the backdrop would be my whiteboard here, but I'm extremely low on juice and it's charging, and the cord is not long enough for me to put it at that space. Because I got my, you know what? I just remember my extension cord is actually packed up on the other side, and I just thought about it literally just now as I'm talking about this. And so I don't have that, and so we have this way, aimed in this direction, and it is going. I probably need to go to Facebook and open up these lives. Let me see. Go there, sir. It takes a minute to get adjusted and to get things set and rolling. And I start talking because when the producer starts the show, then what I see is I see the the timer counts down, and then I'm on, which you all don't see. But when that happens, then I'm thinking, okay, so we good, we live. But I have to think and remember that there is actually a that on Facebook that I actually have to do set these things. And so it takes I'm gonna get this stuff. I'm telling y'all, I'm gonna get it. I promise you I'm gonna get it. It's gonna take a minute for me to get it, but I am going to get it. Let me go to my page and get us on there. A lot of interesting things, events, occurrences going on, and ways to understand them and to respond to them are not clear to some. But anyhow, one thing I want to talk about first, go live. There it is right there. Is that it? I want to talk about what's happening the beginning of next week first, and then I want to go live. That should be it right there. Uh, there it is. The reminders are coming for me to set the live, and I am setting the live. I'm just seeing myself do that old man look, that old people look up at the screen to see if things are connected. You got to be able to laugh at yourself. I get a lot of laughing at myself done. Anyhow, um, on next week, I have been invited by the moderator of the Southwest District of Kansas to do a presentation. Uh, public. There we go. Okay, I finally just got it. It just went. Okay. There we go. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, it's taken a minute for me to get to these places to get this video, get this live going. Y'all know my issue, my situation, my struggle on this tech stuff, and I'm learning it. Thank God, I'm learning it. I'm learning it. I'm learning it. Amen. Um, Anyhow, so what I'm talking about is the what's happening for next week. I've been invited by the moderator of the Southwest District of Kansas, this to teach in their district. The first 2 nights, I'll actually be teaching, and the basis of what I'm teaching there is the Bible is Black history. I got a book, the book that I want to show us for this to see this. Let me see where we are. Okay, we got it. Very good. There it is. All right, this is me still setting up and making sure the Facebook comes on. Um, you can do it, son. My godmother's on there. Hey, Ma. Sister Portia Osborne, that's Ma from Detroit, is on there. She's encouraging me. And then Sister Portia Osborne from the San Francisco area is there, and she is encouraging us as well. Um, the I did something on there. I hope that wasn't bad. Y'all can still hear me. Give me some indication that y'all still hear me. Yes, 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 yes. All right, because I saw some level of something decrease. I just hope I didn't mess anything up. Um, this is the book that I'm going to be using for the presentation. Okay, yes, you can hear me. The Bible is Black History by Dr. Theron Williams. And what the moderator told me, two things. He said, number one, he wants me to talk about Christian education. Two, he wants me to do Black history and to intermingle those two things together. And so in considering that, I thought it not robbery to use as the subject matter and the foundation of this idea, the Bible is Black history. And so anybody who will be in the Wichita area next week, Monday and Tuesday from the 5, I think the presentation begin at 5 o'clock. It's 5 or 5:30. And we would love to have you come out and share with us and to be with us for that experience. 2 days of presentations on that. And the questions, to me, the question and answer periods of presentations afford such a rich opportunity for exchange, yes, but for learning. And so maybe even more than presentations sometime, the question and answer period provides such a wonderful opportunity again to be able to learn. And so think on these things. And again, if you're in that area, we invite you to come. And so for tonight, I just did something else again. Okay, there it is. Those numbers went down. All right. Because I don't have the stand for my phone to do Instagram. But now there it is. All right. But for tonight, ladies and gentlemen, those who are in the group, the Loving the Scriptures group, I put the question out about thoughts that individuals had about the brawl in Montgomery on last Saturday night. And on the show, Inside Love and stuff, Marcus, on my producer's show, he actually did a show. His show was about it last night too, with the question, "Would you swim for me?" And this, of course, is taken from the huge level of commitment that we saw. If you saw the video of the brawl in Montgomery, Alabama, um, where the young man jumps off of one of the boats, swims to the shore in order to be in solidarity with and to stand and assist the brother uh, who had been attacked. And so just the basic idea of what happened, if anybody does not know. And so last Saturday in Montgomery, Alabama, their downtown riverboat experience where they have charter boats that you ride, take cruises there. An employee had been tasked as the boats come in. He's the one that supervised their docking and getting in the position that they were in. Some boaters had left their pontoon boat, had parked it and docked it in the area where the charter boat actually is to dock. And so, and they had all gotten off the boat at this point and they were gone. The boat was there. The individual boat was there, wasn't supposed to be there. And the charter boat was coming in to dock. So he took and untied the boat and he moved their boat. And it's a boat, it's a pontoon. And so that's those boats with the aluminum bottoms, aluminum tanks on the bottom. So they're really light on top of the water. And so he moved the boat in order for the charter boat to get into place where it is supposed to be. And so he's African American. The owners of the boat, which was a family, I understand, eventually 8 of them attack him. One initially, and then there's 3. Another comes, and eventually there are 8 people that are on this one brother, and they address him with extreme violence. And so, as onlookers see what is happening, and this other boat is actually getting into position, a charter boat, the other people run off the boat and run to his assistance. And so there comes this brawl on the dock. These white people have assaulted this African American and other African Americans. And again, this African American is doing his job. The other African Americans come to his aid and they take up the fight. And again, as one of the other boats is coming in, a young brother actually dives into the water, into the river, and swims to the shore to be a part of the aid and assistance. And there are many, 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 many things that have been said, that are being said about what occurred, and many perspectives. What I thought has been very interesting, and I haven't watched closely, but there hasn't been any mention of it in the news media in our local market here. And I read where somebody said, I can't tell who that is, Val's BT, just tell, but hey, what's up to you too? Good to have you on here. Tell me who you are. And so the many responses, they're humorous ones and everything, because part of the melee involves somebody taking a chair, a white folding chair, and actually using it as a weapon against others, and just so many different angles about it. And I think, in one sense, because it was such a disturbing situation, some think and thought that humor is the best way to address it or to look at it in order to lessen or alleviate some of the more serious ramifications that are actually involved. Because for me, Even though I saw such humorous aspects, they talk about the brother when the guy first punches him, the brother takes his hat and he throws it up in the air, and they're saying that was like a bat signal, so that when the other African American they saw his hat, they ran and came to his aid. The humorous again, I'm saying that the many aspects of it, as people have reinterpreted and analyzed it and talked about it, there's been made light of it. It's been made fun of the situation. But my perspective is a really different one. And I actually posted on my Facebook page about it. Let me see if I can get to that, and maybe we can try to look at that. My perspective is really different because I saw a very, very serious situation. And it is that to me because of my own kind of personal history. And that's nothing dark, there's nothing sinister, evil like that. It's just that this, and I as I read this, you'll get a understanding of what I'm trying to say about my history. And so my post, let me read the post, and you'll see. In my 20s, I was an optimist. From then on, life has made me a realist. Since college, I believed and said America would war again over race. Evidence of a cultural shift toward that end occurred last Saturday night. Some white Americans have become violently emboldened over the last few years, while there is a generation of African Americans who are at zero tolerance for racist agitation. Violence is an inherently American ideal. Check the history to understand that statement. The country was born in violence with a conflict called the American Revolution, or the Revolutionary War. The country has been in war with herself, called the Civil War. And remember, the genocidal atrocities visited upon the indigenous people of this land, and consider the perfection of the inhumane abuse and maltreatment inflicted upon African Americans developed during the period of enslavement, which Adolf Hitler said he copied. Did you know that for about 225 of the 247 years existence, America has been embroiled in war or conflict somewhere in the world? Understanding the nation's propensity for violence in his day, Dr. King was forced to admit that America is the greatest purveyor of violence in the world. All this to say that I don't believe the brawl in Montgomery was an isolated, independent instance without impact. I'm convinced it is an indicator of what has been being intentionally fomented and planned to erupt as another racially motivated civil war. Race relations have degraded in the last 15 years in a way that screams danger. Other ideas that I can't share here also inform my perspective. I believe last Saturday's melee was a sign and a forecast of what is ahead. And what do I mean by that, you may ask? And here it is. When I was in college, I talked about, again, being such an optimistic person. I, of course, was saved. I've been saved since I was 13 years old. And so I came to, or the college that I went to was a Christian university, Charismatic Pentecostal Christian University. And so my hope about the world, my outlook, and my, again, optimism had me seeing the world in a particular way. And so to talk about, that's one of the things I think that has to be talked about when we deal with the whole question of what's happening in the United States of America and what's going to happen, is the way we are trained and made to see the world. And so I was made to see it in this flowery, beautiful, rosy colored kind of perspective, that everything is going to be all right. And obviously, I believe that is true ultimately, that everything is going to be all right. But with regard specifically to race, when I came, at that point in my life, I was at college and full of naivete and completely no understanding of the dynamics of our country or even the world. I had this wonderful view that everybody, and before Rodney King even said it, it was in my mind that we would all get along. We would get along and it would be all right. But at college, in the wonderful environment that was really a bubble, even in that place that showed, had a picture of the world, that kept a view of the world that was such a positive and romantically painted one, that is the place that I began my evolution into freedom and into manhood. It's literally where I started learning about myself as an African American. As I started to learn about myself in the context of where the university setting that I was, and in the country I was in, and in the world at the time I was in it, that's when my view of life began to change from an optimist to a realist. And so the being a realist has to do with being able to see things as they really are. One quote from my favorite, most favorite miniseries in the world, Shaka Zulu. There is a part in the film, and I may have even told this here before because I use it all the time. Shaka takes Mbuyazi, one of the British emissaries, glasses. He has his men to bring his glasses to him. And when he gets them, he takes them and he looks at the glasses and then he puts them on his face. And it seems from where you're sitting as you're watching the camera that the glasses may be upside down, which it doesn't matter either way. But he chuckles as he looks around. Because remember, they're not prescribed for his vision, his sight, his eyes. They're prescribed for Mbuyazi's. But he says to his prime minister, Shaka, in their language, in Zulu, to Ngomani, he says to him, this man, and then the interesting scene, Shaka says it in Zulu to his prime minister. One of the emissaries had learned some of the language enough to be able to understand and interpret what Shaka says, which he repeats it back to the doctor. Shaka says it in Zulu, and then Finn says to Mbuyazi, Shaka said, this man does not wish to see the world as it really is. Sisters and brothers, there are so many Americans who do not wish to see the world as it really is. This is the issue that we are having with this teaching of the AP African American Studies course that I was a pilot teacher of, what Ron DeSantis has been fighting against, and others across the United States of America. They don't want African American history, African and African American history, to be taught in its reality, because they don't wish to see the world as it really is. And there's a deeper level to that, because it's not so much that they don't want to see it that way, because too many of them really do know what the truth of it is, but they don't want the next generations to understand. And so when it comes then to the brawl in Montgomery, sisters and brothers, for me, the clear thing that I saw and I understood that there was a rally that Donald Trump had there a couple of days earlier. And where that was or not, I'm not sure about that. But what I do know is true, and that is related to Donald Trump, and that there has been an violent emboldening of some white Americans. What I do know is true as well is that there are some African Americans, this generation that we are in now, there are t-shirts and memes and so many things that have written with this caption, "We are not our ancestors." And what is meant by that phrase is that the treatment that our ancestors were forced into, the way that our ancestors were openly abused, the fashion in which violation occurred to our ancestors, this generation of African Americans are saying, not so. It's not happening with me. And so their idea, and this isn't just a new thing, because historically there's always been some African Americans whose idea was to meet the violence that was coming to our people, to meet it with violence. The Black Power movements and Stokely Carmichael's, for instance, and even Malcolm X's speeches talk about that idea of the only way to meet violence is with violence. And I got to say this because so many African Americans have rushed in this thing to explain or to opinionate on how they saw whatever happened. Everybody's thing is to denounce the violence and to distance themselves. I don't condone violence, and I don't advocate violence, and that's fine. And I don't believe violence should be advocated. Understand me when I say that. But to see the world as it is, to see America as it is, you cannot separate violence from what the nature of this nation actually is. I put that in the Facebook post that this nation is born out of violence, fighting the British for independence. And the line that's told is because of the heavy hand that George was imposing on America. Yes, and that is true. But one particular thing that these colonies didn't want George, his hand to be in, was his denunciation and forbidding of them to expand and annex any more Indian land. He didn't want them to be violent anymore with the Indians. And they broke away. They had a war to break away from England in order to continue to take over this land. What am I saying? All of this thing of violence, 225 years of this nation's existence, out of 247 years, America has been in violent conflict with somebody somewhere in the world. Violence is a part of what this nation is. And I have to say it, and a lot of you not going to like to hear me say this, but when you think of the justice of God, the kind of violence that this country has committed, how in the world is God gonna judge this nation? And so what I saw when I saw that that brawl in Montgomery, I saw what I believe to be what will be an increasing attitude of some white Americans. This idea of having a privileged impunity, being impugned with the way that they visit violence upon African American people, not having any thought of any retaliation. And I then saw an attitude of African Americans that Fannie Lou Hamer had, that Rosa Parks had. We ain't gonna take this no more. It's not gonna happen. It's not going to happen. The only thing that can come out of that, sisters and brothers, with that attitude of an increasing violent approach, and that attitude that you're not going to do that to us anymore. I'm not a prophet of doom. I'm not a naysayer. I'm not a negative person at all. But I saw what I believe this country is headed towards. Do I want to be wrong? I want to be wrong. Do I want to see something like that happen? Not necessarily. But I'm afraid. I'm mighty afraid that that's exactly where we're headed. Y'all were very quiet tonight. I don't know if that means y'all tuned me off or turned me off, tuned me out, or whatever it was. Thank you for coming, whoever of you did. I'm glad you showed up. I want to continue this conversation, though, in the group. So be looking for another prompt for us to talk, another question for us to be responding to. And join us next week again for Love and the Scriptures, 6:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Wednesday night. See you there. God bless you.